Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Ultimate Fantasy Locker Room. How's everybody doing out there?
Yeah.
He wasn't talking to you.
He was.
Mark's in vacation mode.
Yeah,
2 weeks off being fired.
Vacation Mark Donna.
Boom.
Could you stand up and do like a little
Yeah, you
twirl?
stand up. And hey, fun fact: he had
I like the
that
short.
bathing suit on 2 days ago. Did he wash or did he not?
He's letting it dry.
Don't know.
Dude, I'm living my best life. What you guys are dreaming,
Are you free balling under there,
I'm
dude?
living. Yeah, dude, it's got fucking mesh panties in it. Of course I am.
Let me ask you a question.
It's got built-in underwear. You wear underwear with built-in underwear shorts?
I cut that stupid lining out.
But then you get the fucking the little pieces that tickle you.
What pieces?
What?
When you cut it out, right? You have those little fringe pieces that come down and like they tickle you.
Yeah, but see, the lining is just too tight on my.
Well, then buy some board shorts.
Long. You know what I'm saying?
Buy some board. You cheap son of a bitch. Don't buy bathing suits and cut out the mesh.
I don't like the board
Buy
shorts.
board shorts.
I don't like the cut of the board shorts. So
Can
No?
Can
Why?
I
They're
ask
too
you a
long for
question?
you? Down to your ankles? They're like,
Yeah,
like board pants?
I like my shorts like 5.5,
You can cut them
6
like you
inches.
do your jeans.
I don't cut. They come cut. Idiot.
What's like the
You
shortest
buy
for...
jeans cut?
Yeah.
They still do that?
Zach, do you
Yeah.
like,
When was the
Isn't that
last
like a
time you
vintage store?
Wait, let me ask you something real quick. Where do you shop at? Like Columbia or some shit like that?
No, man. I shop at the finest store. I just
Ross?
didn't realize that, you know.
What store do you shop? I want to know where do you get your
Walmart
clothes?
still cuts their fucking jeans?
That's where you shop.
No,
Where do
Walmart
you
still
get your
cuts the
clothes?
jeans.
Where do you get your clothes from?
What about the rips in the front? Do you do that yourself? Or
But where do you get your clothes from?
I get my clothes from all over, man. I'm an equal opportunist
Where
clother.
do you get your clothes from?
Mostly online.
fastest that
We are,
fastest
yeah,
that we
we're
This
off
is
the cuff.
viral.
This
Yeah.
is Tommy Bahama, though. And I tell
Tommy,
you what.
no, I respect Tommy Bahama.
I tell you what, after wearing this shirt, I'm a Tommy Bahama fan.
Yeah, because it
brother.
covers up
Yes.
that gut.
No, what it does is everything is like seamless in it. It's like wearing air, and I look fucking
So
fantastic
you've given
in
up. You've given up.
it. Fantastic in it.
If
Zach,
you are
do you
somehow
like
still with
long
us.
shorts or do you like
No,
short
I'm
shorts?
like a 5.5, 5 inch inseam boy.
I
So
go
you're like shorty
Yeah.
shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
7 inches is the longest I go.
Oh, that's
So
playing
do
dangerous.
you like chubbies?
Clip that.
Do you like chubbies?
I don't have a pair of chubbies, but those are the type of shorts that
You like?
my girlfriend likes. Yeah.
I like chubbies. I just don't buy chubbies.
So you
because
wear
they're
Daisy
like-
Dukes.
they're
You like the
90
man version of Daisy Dukes.
you know, I do have a Speedo
This is chubby
from
right there.
from my
Some-
old
some
high school
David
swim
Dukes.
days. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a pair of chubbies.
Nice.
yeah, I bet you do.
American flag ones.
Are they on speed dial?
You have these pale chicken thighs up there, so I understand why you wouldn't want to wear something that reveals that.
So
you probably got like the
Phil
little
Phil
pink-
shows up for
pink
my
bumps on
for my twins' birthday party this past weekend.
Happy
right?
birthday, twins.
Yeah.
Right? It's packed. The
Yeah.
place is packed, right? As you
Okay.
could imagine, any shindig that I have is, right? DJ's fucking blaring, right? The place
Don't
is,
do this.
The place is hopping.
It's hopping.
Phil finds a corner, right, with one of our chairs, and he sits in the corner.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see him hiking his shorts up. I'm like, what's going on here,
yeah.
brother?
Skies
He
out,
goes,
thighs out.
Skies out, thighs out. I'm like, you son of a bitch. I left. I went back to the party.
gotta
I
get
let him in his corner.
Listen, just for the record, all right, Tara.
Skies out, thighs
Hey,
out.
Tara, gotta love you. Okay, that party was deader than a piece of wood. Jesus, I mean,
Ouch.
the people. Listen,
Ouch.
just not my kind of people. It
was lit.
It was not lit, and
Ouch.
I got on that chair. I
But it
got
was
some sun.
hopping.
But listen, I got to get.
You're
some
talking
color.
about a guy that's not allowed to own a gun in Florida.
Wow.
Obviously, he's not going to a,
Wow.
like this party.
Wow.
You're talking about a guy that's probably too scared to own one too.
Wow.
I tell you what,
Yeah, I don't
I'm
wanna-
gonna go
I
out
don't
to
want
my
a gun.
car and get a gun and kill you both right now. I'm just so tired.
You know how to shoot that thing?
I do.
Should we put a bow on that intro?
I'm just saying.
Where's
I
this-
gotta get some color on these
Where's
things.
the scope at with that schnozzle? Is it way down the end of the?
All right, so anyway, so we got a few things. We got pressing issues today. We're gonna talk a little bit about Drew Brees, touch on Pat Bev and crazy shenanigans going on with him. We'll recap the second round of the basketball playoffs. We'll talk about the Chargers intro for their schedule this year, and we'll make our picks. Play the win-loss, loss, win-loss game for our favorite NFL teams. But before we do that, let's kick it over to my boy Z. Give us some
me.
of our comments from the week.
Yep. So if you watch the show on YouTube, or if you watch us on any social media platform via TikTok, Instagram, what have you, please comment. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we shout you out if you're funny, if your take's good, if it's bad, etc. So we're gonna start with one that I thought was kind of funny, but in like an ironic way. So we posted on Instagram, and actually did pretty well. And we're talking about how is it the veterans quarterback job to mentor the rookie quarterback? Is it not their job, etc. So then I think it's Darion Ramirez _. He just said Tannehill is gay. So I just thought that was very, ridiculous. So we actually commented, we said this would be breaking news even to Ryan Tannehill himself. So I know.
Yeah.
Shout out for the ridiculous, dumb comment.
First of all, 2020. Who cares?
It's 2022, right?
2022.
Right? It's 2022.
2022. Who cares?
Let's get the
Secondly,
year, right?
I'm pretty sure he's like married with a family, right?
That doesn't mean he's not gay.
Yeah, I mean, he could be. Yeah,
Hey, there's nothing wrong if he's gay, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, the reason why I picked it is because it's just so we're talking like about a legitimate pressing issue, and then someone just Twitter fingers is just Tannehill is gay.
I don't know.
Maybe he means happy though.
Maybe he has personal
Maybe
experience.
he's happy that they drafted Treylon Burks.
Is that Mark's burner account?
Darion Ramirez.
Yeah.
that'd be a funny one.
He
So
looked like a Ramirez.
I do look like a Ramirez.
speaking of
I can
Mark
pull it off.
Donna, we the next comment is from when we were talking about Tom Brady, going into his NFL Fox, contract after he retires, etc. And I think it's Matt Welsh says, well, we were talking about how he could be good, he could be bad, etc. And then he says, no, there's no refs to help him.
I know.
So I thought that was
I
good.
actually love
Yeah.
that comment. Yeah.
And you said that should be pinned, so I
Yes.
figured we should shout it out too.
Yes,
I thought that was
absolutely.
funny.
Totally oblivious. I have no idea.
That was a great.
Don't get the
comment.
reference.
You're saying, well, because like Tom
Yeah.
Brady typically the refs gave him the Super Bowl, the Tuck rule, or this
Yeah.
this and help. So
I
we're
get it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tom Brady's not helping himself there either, because now he is totally
Oh.
trolling the whole Tuck rule and
Yeah.
going back and 20 years in the
I
history.
think
and
he
saying,
is helping himself. Don't you think so?
I mean, he's helping
I think
himself
people
by
like it.
saying it's,
People do like it, but it's kind of a dick move if you think about it, right? Because he's saying, "Oh well,
He's not.
I predicated my whole entire career on cheating
Yeah.
20 years ago, and
Oh,
now
really?
I've been super successful because of it. And I just signed a $350 million deal to not talk on a network about anything interesting because
He's
I'm Tom Brady and I'm a
alienated another
fucking
fan
complete
base.
moron."
Well, he also just won a lot after that too.
Did he?
I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, all because the Tuck rule.
Well, no, I mean he won that year because of the Tuck rule. So,
I know, but
yeah.
after that they started throwing the skirts on the quarterbacks.
And if we're being fair, he really wasn't that guy that season. It was more the defense and the coaching that won that Super Bowl. Tom Brady wasn't spectacular.
if you go back
at all.
into the annals of history regarding the NFL,
Hey, you know what?
currently,
One of my favorite things to do.
I bet.
Yeah.
Apparently Ryan Tannehill's too.
I
Drew
think-
Bledsoe was probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL
I don't think he was
history.
underrated. He had a video game, so I don't know if he was underrated,
Ooh.
but he was.
If you have a video
Yeah,
game, you're not underrated.
Drew Bledsoe football. I owned it.
If you're
Yeah.
on the cover of 2K or Madden, you're not underrated either.
Bledsoe's bullet, one of my favorite plays.
Oh, do you want to get into that? We should.
I don't
We're
wanna
going
get
to
into that.
dedicate an episode to Madden covers then, because you can definitely be very, very underrated and still
I mean,
be
they had
No,
the-
you
and
can be-
overrated.
you can
They
be
had the
overrated.
albino rhino made the cover
Well,
one year.
you can be overrated, case in point, but you cannot be underrated. You
Wait.
cannot.
Case in point, Mike Allstott.
You can't be underrated.
He was underrated.
No, he's saying case
No,
because he
who
was
are you
making
talking
a
about?
point for
Allstott.
Mike Allstott.
I
He
was
was
making a
making a
point
case in point for overrated.
I think
when
he was
said
making a
that.
point for Peyton Hillis.
I thought you were saying Peyton Hillis. Yeah.
Oh, Peyton
Where were you
Hillis.
going?
Hey,
I thought Mike
hey,
Allstott.
Hey, shut up, huh?
Yeah, Peyton Hillis was definitely overrated.
Thank
Hey,
you.
keep sucking that straw.
But if I'm not mistaken, Peyton Hillis was also the first or second year that they started doing the voting on the Madden covers too, right? Because Peyton Hillis was like the posh pick when they
Well,
did like
that's how you
the
could be
16.
overrated.
Hey, who gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
we
get to the
should-
next comment.
Yeah, let's.
So
do it.
these are
I
from
can't wait till we how many losses we drop on the Giants schedule. That's the part I'm eager for.
Okay. So I made an oopsie. We have another show, Guys on Draft. Please check it out. It's on this YouTube channel. It's a very fun time. I forgot to read the comments from other Guys on Draft votes. So
You're
I
fucking fired.
I know. I picked a few that I thought were pretty funny. So the first one was from our all-time sports movies draft, and I'm trying to find the comment.
I cleaned up, man.
Yeah, you did clean up.
I
So
cleaned up.
speaking of this, Wally World in 1968, which I think is a friend of yours, said R Team R by a mile, basketball. Who brought that kid? Thought that was pretty funny. And,
All right.
and then to
People
do,
don't understand good cinema. I get it. I get it.
and to do this last comment quickly, underscore ICY Phoenix 36 underscore.
Good name.
Yeah, that was a crapshoot of a name. So he said, I'm not really vibing with any of these teams as a whole as for our fast food items.
Yeah.
I said, what was your top 5 lineup? So we can react to his top 5 lineup. He said, across the board from our picks, he said, give me the Dairy Queen Blizzard, Doritos Locos Tacos, Five Guys Burger, Checkers Fries, and the Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Croissant.
Hey,
So two of mine were on there, so I would say
he did go
my
with team
list.
4.
Yeah, but Phoenix,
But he picked the most obscure pick, which was the bacon, egg, and cheese.
But he's a fraud, though, right?
Yeah.
You're you were a fraud?
Yeah. No, he's
Dude,
a
we've
fraud.
got like 17
Listen,
dedicated
I gotta
viewers.
call
You're outing one of them.
I gotta call a spade a spade. I mean, he's gonna criticize our list. It's a draft, guy. It's not a pick 'em. It's a draft. And then he's going to cherry pick from each list and say, give his. Well, guess what? If we could all just pick any of them without somebody drafting before us, I bet we would all have better teams. All right?
I'd still have the same one.
Well,
right, Phoenix boy.
Not in the sports movies. I would have my exact team because it was the.
You know what?
perfect-
I'll give you.
Yeah.
Listen,
You did win that one.
My first 3 picks were your first 3 picks. Basically,
You know what? One week I'm
hesitant.
just gonna play it straight. I'm gonna fucking destroy you guys.
I think you're playing it straight.
I think you stopped playing it.
I'm gonna
sideways
destroy
a couple
you
weeks
guys,
ago.
and then I'm gonna go back to playing it the other way
Well, I
because
mean, why
I'm
are
just
you
gonna be
telling-
like, you guys you can't even think of things because you're all dumb.
See, there's your pride getting in the way. If you're gonna play it sideways, just play it sideways. You
It's
know,
the shirt, man. It's
Yeah.
the shirts.
Yeah.
Tommy
The
Bahama.
shirts got me confident.
you're going to
I'll say
Margaritaville.
whatever the hell I
after
want. I came from Margaritaville. What are you talking about?
Alrighty, so that's the intro.
this. If you're gonna do that, just do it.
Just do it.
Just
No, I
do
Just
it.
commit.
I actually didn't mean to press it.
No, do it.
Just commit now.
He's got
'Cause
itchy
I will
fingers
cut
over
it.
there.
Pressing issues.
What's the issue?
If there's issues, we gonna press them.
Yeah.
Baby girl.
Baby, ready.
I did not know you can hit 2
you
intros
can-
at the same
You
time.
can actually hit all.
Can we hear it?
Can you
we
really?
hit- yeah, hit all
Oh,
of them.
maybe don't. Maybe
Is
don't.
your hand big enough?
It's not even like using those.
That's what Mark's brain sounds like.
You have no idea.
Anyways,
That's only
yeah.
one page of it.
Pressing issue.
There's at
So
least
I
4
mean,
other
all right.
pages.
So I'm sure everybody knows about this in the news the last 2 days. Drew Brees, he actually came out with a statement too, but rumored that he may be coming back to the NFL. He's leaving. Who was he with? NBC, right?
Yeah.
NBC. Yeah. So
With
he
Tony
was,
Dungy and them.
yeah, he was doing NBC the Sunday night games, I believe, and a few of the Thursday nights, I think.
Something like that.
Not important. What's important is that he's leaving. He didn't enjoy it. Might be coming back to the NFL. So we're going to talk about that and how it might affect the Saints. But in a broader sense, we're also going to just talk about the media jumping the gun maybe on some of these guys, hiring them, i.e. Tom Brady, before they retire. And in most of the cases, it seems like it hasn't worked out too well. Let's put Tony Romo to the side.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna.
let's focus on Drew Brees here. And what do we think? Does this help? Like, personally, for me, I'd rather have Jameis Winston as a quarterback of that team right now.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna disagree with you at all because I think Jameis probably gives them the most exciting play. You know, without diving into Drew Brees' stats in the last season that he played, the last full season that he played, my memory of Drew Brees before he retired was this was a guy that needs to retire.
Yeah.
I don't think he was at the top of his game. I think that Drew Brees would even admit that he wasn't at the top of his game. And that's the reason why he bowed out. Because Drew Brees seems like one of those guys, right? Like if he's not going to be an asset to his team, then he's willing to say, guys, I think there's better out there. Let me concede the way and now find your guy. So to come back now, 2 years after not facing increasing competition, because let's face it, defenses get bigger, stronger, faster every year. You know, and having that down year his last season, and I mean, they were outed how many times in the playoffs before that? To see him come back to try to ride this horse again, I don't know, man. I think the time I stay in the booth, Breeze. I love you. You know, I would love to see him come back. He's got the weapons. That team is good, but I don't know. I think you're right. I think Jameis probably gives them at this point the best chance to win with quarterbacks on their roster.
He definitely goes back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, I think they.
He's
would
still
own
under
his
contract,
right,
I think,
He would own
yeah.
his rights.
So what do you think?
So it's only been 1 year that he's been gone. So
Yes.
this would be the second year. This
Right.
year.
So 2 years
Yeah.
essentially removed.
I agree with you on physical strength as far as Jameis is the better athlete, but Breeze's game was never really predicated on his physical attributes. He never had a strong arm, wasn't overly tall, right? Wasn't.
I think we should pin that because I think people are going to point out how Brees had a very strong arm, especially for how undersized he was.
At the end of it, though, I don't think he did.
Yeah,
and that's my point. That's why I'm saying my point is that it wasn't as strong at the end of his career.
So when he came out of Purdue, I would agree with you. But I think the last 5 years, his arm was weakening, and he was still able to throw for. I mean, he broke every record, and I mean, it was amazing. Like broke the yards and so forth records. I don't know that he's had a team as good as what they're about to have in the last. I mean, if Alvin Kamara comes back,
the weapons are there.
With Jarvis, who is a great underneath slot receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last great? To me, they've used Alvin as a slot receiver, but if you can keep him in the backfield and have Jarvis as a slot receiver, you've got the rookie from Ohio State, Chris Olave, who's a spreader. Michael Thomas can play that middle. Yeah, that's a pretty scary offense.
I get that, but I mean, same thing back when when Mike Thomas was in his heyday. They had I believe Traquan Smith was just coming up. Kamara wasn't even the guy at that point because they had Ingram in his prime, and that 1-2 punch was fantastic. And this was before Kamara broke out, and Kamara was the overall total back. And they had his name is escaping me, but they had number 44, the tight end that they had that was a solid tight end option for him as well. So Brees has had weapons in the past, and they were outed 2 straight years, right? You can argue, the bullshit call. What was that, Atlanta, right? The bullshit call against Atlanta. And then the freak touchdown to Stephon Diggs with Minnesota. You can make that argument, but to say that he hasn't had weapons in the past, I think that's a stretch.
I don't think he's had the mix of the weapons. And I don't like Traquan, a great, good receiver, but probably a number 3. Mm-hmm. Chris Olave, I think, is what they're hoping is he might actually be a number 1 receiver.
Yeah, that's the guy that wore the pearls, right?
Chris Olave.
Okay.
No.
That was Garrett Smith
or Garrett Wilson.
So, Zach, what do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I'll take like the media spin to it instead of like the if he comes back. I just think like maybe I'm getting ahead of myself with how we're gonna go with it, but I just think I think the media's like not cherry picking, but like prematurely taking NFL faces that don't translate to media faces. It almost takes away from the people that like aspire to be NFL media and people that want to be reporters and TV personalities. And it's saying, hey, let's throw Drew Brees in here and see if it sticks. Let's see if Jason Witten, if it sticks, if Greg Olsen, if it sticks. Yeah. I just don't think it's panning out. Plus, you're not getting consistency from broadcasting. You're seeing a lot of faces move around. I mean, shit, they couldn't even do it with people that aren't athletes. From Monday Night Football has been all over the place for years. Yeah. I just think like it just in general is not a targeted, calculated strategy from these networks on how they want to put people like in headsets and mics. It's just not, this isn't confident. Like it doesn't look good for them. It doesn't look good for the athlete either. I think like choosing where to go before they're even finished with their prior job, or it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I
get what you're saying. And I think just to respond to what you guys said about Brees, the one point I'll make quickly about Brees is, yes, I think he still has the brain.
The IQ is definitely there.
He probably comes back as a backup to mentor, right? You would say?
No, I think he would start if he came back. But I say he has the brain, and I don't think it's so much that, his arm is weaker. But what I worry about with Brees is, and I'll make a comparison here, is a guy like Chad Pennington, shoulder injury late in his career, weak arm, but there's a difference. Drew Brees would not push the ball down the field those last 2 years of his career. Chad Pennington, even with a weak arm, found a way to push the ball down the field. He would throw these moon shots down, but he still was able to stretch the field a bit. I worry with Brees, and you got all these weapons there. It's not going to mean much because it didn't mean much when he was there, and he did have a healthy Mike Thomas and a young Traquan and Alvin Kamara, like you said, and it really didn't translate into them being an explosive offense anymore. So I'll say that. Now, what you were talking about, yes, I think the media, I think it's only a matter of time before this turns on its head with them offering these big, crazy deals to these quarterbacks.
Huge deals.
Before they retire, because, and you've seen it with Witten. Greg Olsen's kind of been okay, but Witten, he unretired.
Whiffed.
Drew Brees is unretiring now. Tony Romo, success story. Yeah. Peyton Manning, they back up the truck for him. He'd probably get more than Brady right now, to be honest with you. Yeah. But he's doing this thing with ESPN. And you're right about ESPN. You've already seen it. They've kind of turned back the clock. They went and got Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, took them from Fox, and they're doing the Monday night now. I think we're going to see a trend going back towards broadcasters broadcasting games. And I think the athletes will be mixed in there, but I think it'll be less of, the
star power.
sweetheart deals
Just
before
names.
they.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do like is when you actually see people with broadcasting talent, right? And say what you will about Joe Buck, right? Love him or hate him. He comes from a pedigree of broadcasters, right? So there's a skill involved there. And he does, man. He brings an electric element to broadcasting. So it's really nice to see when you watch broadcasters come up through the ranks. And as a Mets fan, I've watched the Mets for years. They used to have, their beat reporter that then turned into, they would sidecast to him 3, 4, 5, 6 times a game, Kevin Burkhardt. And now you've watched Kevin Burkhardt kind of grow up through the ranks. Mm-hmm. And now he is, I don't know what affiliation he's with, but he is, he's made it to primetime television when he was essentially just like a Mets, sideline reporter type of deal.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that, man. It's good to get the perspective of professional athletes, but only if they have a talent for speaking in front of a microphone or in front of a television. Yeah. Because broadcasters really do bring that professional element to get you excited for the game.
So we're going to talk about the NBA now. Play GM a little bit and see what we want to play these guys. And a guy that's perfect to talk about first, coming off a series win, is Jalen Brunson. It's a guy that's played really well, and it's a league that it's a point guard league, and you got a guy that's a guard. He could kind of play the 1, play the 2. What do we get? Is this a max player? Is this a guy that you're kind of hedging your bet on? I see Rocky shaking his head over there. What do you think about Brunson?
I mean, I think we've confused what a max player is in today's NBA. Yeah, in today's NBA. So will he get a max? And is he a max player is two separate things.
All right, so
I don't think he is a max player. I think
he get a max.
Yeah, if I'm the GM, I might have to pay him max to keep him.
Ooh, I don't like that.
But I do not feel he is a max. I think he is a very good piece of the puzzle, but I do not think he's a max player.
Yeah, he's an accessory piece for sure. He is the bracelet, the bracelet to Luka's pearl necklace.
Right. It just takes one team though.
Jalen, he's put in an excellent playoff run here. He had a decent end to the season. But if I'm thinking max deal, so when I think max deal, I'm thinking a team stealing him away to give him a max deal, right? Jalen Brunson goes to the Wizards. Is he like the guy? Does he make the Wizards now all of a sudden a playoff contender? Does he go to Orlando and make the Magic all of a sudden?
I don't think anybody can do that.
No, that's my point. So max deal for me means that's the guy that you bring in. That's the deal breaker. He is going to get you into championship talk.
Do you think he'll get a max contract though?
No, I don't think he'll get a max contract. I think I would absolutely sign him, and I would negotiate something higher than probably where you would have considered him at the beginning of last season or 2 seasons ago.
What do you think he's worth a year right now?
Right now, he's on a 4-year, $6 million deal.
Well, that's dirt cheap.
That's dirt cheap. I mean, seriously, he's
expecting more money. Is I guess
so.
The preface
What a max player is.
So
right
Luka's
now,
your max player.
Yeah, I'm saying forget the Mavericks.
They would have to hit an All NBA. By the
going
way.
to another team. Who he would have to be able to get max from the Mavs or from any team.
I don't know that actually.
Well, I mean,
NBA
say Detroit.
Contracts are
Use Detroit, who's got a lot of money to spend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So would they, who just to get some excitement going,
would you give him $26 million a year?
I'd give him half max. I'd probably go half max.
So about like 13, 15 a year?
Yeah. Well, what would his max deal be? I'm not sure.
I don't know. The NBA contracts are too complicated, especially when it comes to the team you're with.
That's what I was asking because I'm not sure.
But I think what you're saying is you'd give him the half of whatever his max
whatever
is.
the going rate is for your top point guards in the league, I would definitely give him at least half, if not a little better.
So you give him like
I'd have to be
15.
competitive.
It's at least 30% and no more than 35% of your salary cap for the year.
Yeah, so it depends. Like if you stay with your team, they could offer your max is like probably 40 to 60 million more than you could get
anywhere else.
a max from another team.
Right. Okay.
So that's why it's very conflated. But what I'm saying is like, so 15 is the rent. You give him 15 a year. Like Steph Curry's making what upwards of 30 a year right now.
I don't know, man. That's tough because all right. So if you do deadline comparisons like that, but that's the reason why salaries are so skewed anyway. So if you compare him to Steph Curry and Steph Curry's making 36, is he half the player Steph is?
No.
No,
Dude, you're not going to remember Jalen Brunson 30 years from now.
But this is the thing where you're not just paying the player what they're worth; you're paying them what the market demands. Right?
Exactly. So that's why it is so convoluted, and I don't think he's worth half of what Steph is. I think he is going to have to get paid at least what half Steph is, if not a little more.
All right,
because let's face it. I mean, he's been pretty solid in the playoffs.
Another guy, Colin Sexton. Let's keep it quicker because I don't know enough about him. But what do you think about Sexton? What kind of deal does he go out there?
We're about
and
to get
this
his whole Tinder profile right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is another. It's a really interesting play. I think the Cavaliers have no choice but to overpay in order to keep him, in order to trade him. Mm-hmm. So I don't think necessarily that he'll end up on the Cavaliers, but I do think that somebody's going to offer him more than what the Cavs think he's worth.
Yeah.
And the Cavs are probably going to sign that contract in order to use him as a bargaining chip, either in a trade. And I don't think he's the worst. Like, he's not a max player, and I don't think he's going to get a max contract.
He won't be.
But I do think somebody is going to offer him a really good contract, and the Cavs will sign it because it's better than losing him for nothing. And I don't think the worst thing that can happen is they have a scorer who's a pretty damn good scorer.
Yeah, I like Sexton. He's a talented guy.
Yeah, so Colin Sexton, he wants a 4-year, $100 million deal.
Yeah.
And the Cavs wanted the 5th year.
Yeah.
I, at the beginning of the year as a Sixers fan, wanted Colin Sexton.
I wanted him with the Knicks, too.
I think Colin Sexton's a great piece. And personally, he's a little unproven because he's played on, unfortunately, a Cavs team that hasn't had a chance to prove themselves in the playoffs. But if I was a GM, I would pay Colin Sexton. I would. The health kind of scares me too. There's a lot that you are betting on, but I think Colin Sexton's a great piece to a team where he can prove himself, where the team can prove himself. I would still love him to be on the Sixers, to be honest with you. I just think that's a player you give money to. He's still young too.
Very small sample, 11-game sample before he got injured. Him, Darius, Jared Allen, Mobley, and then Mobley, and then Macrim, the guy that they picked up, and I know I'm killing his name. That starting five, it was working, it was gelling, and Sexton was doing what he is supposed to do, which is off ball dribble score. Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, can we just say that, like, when I'm thinking max deal, I'm thinking about the dude, and then I'm thinking about if we've already got the dude, then he's the next dude, and he's gonna, he's the Pippen to Jordan, Is Colin Sexton worth a max deal to bring in to put somebody who's just got one guy to put them over the precipice of getting to the next level?
Who do you compare him to?
Who, Sexton?
Yeah.
He averaged 24 points last season, 4 assists, 47% from the field.
Which is good. I mean, and he was he was the guy in Cleveland, right?
He was so the issue is he was the point guard last year, and only 4 assists. That was the issue last year. So this year they moved him a lot more to shooting guard. Let Darius do point guard, and that worked better. I liken him kind of to like a Rudy Gay.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more scoring, to be honest with you. Yeah. But to me, he's more of that. He's not the guy, but he's a really good scorer.
So when I think of Sexton, I put him in like a category of like Cam Reddish, Ben Simmons.
Well, Ben Simmons doesn't really score,
but yeah.
No, I know that, but a key piece to make your team flow, right? I mean, I know you have some bias against Simmons, but Simmons had some really good years in Philly. And Simmons has a lot of skill. Again, I don't think you're I don't think you give him a max deal because you're not bringing in Sexton to be the dude, and I don't think he's talented enough to bring him in on max deal to be the second guy either.
Right, well, I think Sexton doesn't warrant this much discussion, but there's 3 guys we're going to get into, and what I want to know, I think most people would say these guys off bat are max players, but I want to see, do you guys think they are, or they're? I mean, it was a little different with Brunson and Sexton because they're kind of on the border there.
Yeah.
But I think these 3 guys are like sure shot max players by most people's accounts. But like I have an argument against a couple of them, and I wonder if you guys have any arguments with Devin Booker, Zach Levine, or Bradley Beal being max players going forward.
There's one player that I would pay them all the money in the world. Bradley Beal.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only one that I think, as a fighter, is dedicated to a team, has remained pretty much almost healthy the entire time, is just a bucket in general. Like Bradley Beal deserves the bag for numerous reasons. I'll just go. You want all of them at once, or are we just gonna round the table?
Well,
that's
let's
good.
just
I
talk
wanna-
about Beal because
Yeah.
Beal's the guy that you can build the team around. Because for all the reasons that you just mentioned, the guy's a team player. Every night he leaves it on the court, man. He's 100% all the time. Even when he wasn't the guy, he still tried to be the guy, but also while being an awesome teammate to everybody else. Right. So even when John Wall was the guy there and John Wall was what everybody was talking about, Beal was still going out and doing his thing every single night.
Yeah.
His shooting percentage was fantastic. Everything was on point with Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal never asked to be in the position that he's currently in, which is being the guy, which makes him even sexier to me to bring him in to be the guy. Because now I know, shit, this guy's probably been underrated. This guy would break out in a role to be the guy that you bring in and support him with a Colin Sexton, support him with a Jalen Brunson. Give him some help, but let Bradley Beal kind of dictate what goes on the court.
What do you think about Bradley Beal?
I would agree with you compared to the other two. The other two I'm a lot more skeptical on. But I would say Bradley Beal, I think he deserves a max deal.
So did we mention the other two? We'll just quick mention
I'm gonna get there.
Devin Booker.
I got them. I'm gonna go there.
Okay, whatever, man. Why you get to announce them?
That's what I'm doing.
Man, that's some
You wouldn't be able to
serious-
build around Bradley Beal, though.
I think
You
you
pay
talked
him.
a lot already, but he's up.
Oh, get on there. Get on there.
But you already said you'd give Beal the max, right?
Yeah, but you couldn't, kind of rebuttal, Mark. You couldn't build around Bradley Beal if you're paying him the max. Like there would have to be pieces there.
But that's just, I mean, that's anybody though. When they max deal anybody, they still have to build around them.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like financially, you can't. Like you have to kind of have what you have if you're paying him. It's like
You're saying if
quarterback,
somebody
yeah.
else is bringing him in, or are you
Yeah.
saying if the Wizards retain him?
No, so what I'm saying is that you're not
yeah.
going to give Jalen Brunson or Colin Sexton max deals. You should be able to get those guys on lower contracts. So you can bring in a max deal Bradley Beal and still bring in Brunson or Sexton on a contract.
But if you pay Bradley Beal, you can't use that money.
What he's saying is that Bradley Beal is good enough. Like he's a franchise changing player, I guess is what you're saying, that you could put that much resources in Beal and use the rest, and he's good enough to carry that cast of players, or maybe get better players who are a little bit older to sign for less to play with him.
Right. So essentially what you're saying is there's 32 teams in the NBA, right?
That's right. No, 30.
All right. So is Bradley Beal amongst the top 30 players in the league?
Yes.
Yeah.
That should be spearheading a team. Absolutely.
All right, so Zach Levine.
Do
the Bulls him up?
I do not believe he's a max player.
No?
That's
Nobody?
hard. That's hard. Because
Depends. Do you get extra points for dunk competitions?
his
or-
I think his talent
His talent's there.
I think his talent, his play is there. I think the injury thing is a big issue, and I think that's the only thing
That's why I would say
holding
he's
him
not.
back. But let's get to Devin Booker, which you were trying to shoehorn in earlier. But Devin Booker, I mean, the same. We're gonna talk about the Suns a little bit later and what they're gonna do going forward. But Booker, personally, I think you guys feel the same. I can't listen. Devin Booker, before CP3 got to Phoenix, had nothing to speak of besides being able to score the ball and an 8-game run before the bubble year, right? CP3 gets there, they become a contender, and everybody seems to forget that he was basically Kyrie Irving in Cleveland before LeBron came. You just seen the guy get alphaed in a series that, I mean, these guys were the favorites to go back to the finals. I mean, I guess you could argue the Warriors, right? But them and the Warriors, I still argue that the Suns were the favorites going into that series to still make it to the finals. And just to collapse like that, and I know you had some numbers earlier about, and I want you to say those numbers if you remember, but how Luka outperformed Booker.
I think it was 216 to 168 over the 7-game series. And you make fantastic point, because this is what we're talking about. So Devin Booker who would be considered a max deal player or did sign a max deal years ago, right? Didn't he? Did he not sign a max deal?
Right
or
now,
close to a max deal.
He's on a 5-year, 158 mil.
Yeah.
So he was given that opportunity, and they surrounded him with CP3, with DeAndre Ayton. They surrounded him with a team, and they couldn't get it done. So that, in my mind, already eliminates him from max deal player, from max deal compensation.
He's going to get it.
Well, and there's just something about like the way he acted, the way he, took the ball away from Luka.
Yeah.
That's fine to do it. You know who does that? LeBron. You know who does it? Steph. And then you know what they do? They back it up.
Yeah.
They back it up. If you can back it up, you can do that.
Yeah.
But he didn't back it up. In fact, all he did was he enraged the bear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Luka the Don came in and just
and you know what?
shat on the Suns.
Because I think you could say that the Suns should have coasted to a victory in that series,
Especially
had
Luka
they
being
not
out.
pissed them.
Luka being out games 1 and game 2.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
was Utah.
but then
Was that also?
was it Utah? It might have been Utah. My bad.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
that
Because
out.
Luka Hardon was like ringing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would have had to have been, would have had, because that would have been disgusting if in 5 games he outscored Devin Booker in 7. But, Luka had more points than Devin Booker in that series, right? He had more rebounds than DeAndre Ayton in that series. He had more assists than CP3 in that series. And you're talking about one player against all their best players. And he had more steals than the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year from Phoenix as well. Mikal Bridges. So, I mean, you want to talk about max deal, man. Luka.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no-brainer. In fact, I
yeah.
think you have to start saying is Luka
The next LeBron?
the next LeBron James?
Oh my gosh.
And no, I mean, I think, or is he?
So is this recency bias, or are we just forgetting about Giannis?
It might be a little bit of, but see, there's a different.
I mean,
I think Luka's the first
he's
Luka, quite honestly.
still in the playoffs, and Giannis isn't. But I don't think that we're saying he's better than Giannis. I think we're wondering, is he as good as LeBron and as good as Giannis?
I think he's in a class of his own, quite honestly. I mean, you're looking at a guy that he does everything, right? And why compare him? Why say, is he the next LeBron? Shit. Is LeBron what Luka will be?
He's 23 years old, and Giannis is 27. I think the age gap has something to play with it to your guys' side of that.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, the thing about Luka is that the difference with him and Giannis is the offensive game is just now, it's not the same. Giannis can be dominant, but the ability to stretch the floor and shoot at range and the creativity with the ball and all that stuff that is wrapped up in that. I think when we say, is he LeBron, the next LeBron or White Mike, right, is not only the ability to play and win games and series and be clutch, it's also the ability to capture the imagination of the fans and the kids.
That's where the
all that
greatest
jazz so
comes from.
His game leans itself. He's a flashier player. He's also the kind of player that guys can. It's similar to Steph Curry, who came in the league and dominated with the 3-point ball, something that all guys of all sizes could go on the playground and shoot the 3 ball. All guys can't dunk and play above the rim. And Luka's a less athletic guy, more skill, more finesse, but he's still flashy. And I think he's going to capture the hearts and imaginations of NBA fans around the world.
Just come out and say it. He's a little bit fluffier. He's a little bit fluffier than everybody,
he's lost weight and he's in good shape. I'm saying he doesn't play above the rim, but his game overall, he can let your YMCA players emulate and feel like
I think
they're a little bit of Luka Doncic.
I think it's because
He's 230 pounds.
I think it's because he grew up playing basketball in Europe, where the league, first of all, it's a lot more physical in the European leagues, and so I think he had to make up for some of that physicality with finesse, with a little bit more of that, and
skill.
skill. So he's brought that into the American game, and that's why. I mean, he's got like everything and. Yeah. He's got everything that the American players have and a little bit of that extra finesse skill that he's learned from being slammed to the ground repeatedly by a 6'8" Lithuanian. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something he's picked up there.
And I think Luka, I think if I remember correctly, Luka, what was eye-popping before he came over to the States to play was, I believe as an 18-year-old, played Vlade Divac, right? Played Vlade Divac in a 1-on-1 and shut Vlade out.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh shit!" Because Vlade wasn't the best player, but Vlade could ball.
Yeah. All right, well, we're running pretty long here. Luka. I don't know if you guys are looking at the time, but we're going to get to our last pressing issue, and this is something near and dear to my heart, but is hockey back? Now, I know nobody on this panel really watches hockey like that, but I'm going to first off say you guys should, right? Number one. Number two, what I'm saying is hockey back. There was a long stretch there when the NHL left ESPN, and it kind of went on the wayside, and we've seen the resurgence of the MLS and stuff like that.
Okay.
But hockey signed a new deal. The NHL signed a new deal with ESPN this year. And I've kind of seen a jump in the consciousness. And, ESPN's going to pump it out, pump the highlights, really big it up. And I think it's become a little bit more visible in the national conscience as far as the major sports go this year. But to really highlight, I think the strength of hockey, I think what's funny, and I'm just going to make this point and let you guys talk about it, is that what hockey brings to the table is what we complain about being lacked a lot in the other major sports, which is toughness, which is some of the grit that we miss from football and even basketball in the 90s. Hockey still plays like the game and those games did in the 90s and the 80s. Teamwork it's really, they have a lot of stars in the game, but it's very, very much still a team game. It's very much a more just kind of grounded game. And the playoffs, man, I've always thought that the playoffs in hockey have been the best out of the four major sports. But this year specifically, just the timing with being back on ESPN and then getting these playoffs where in the first round you had five of the series go to a game 7 over this weekend. 2 of them going to overtime, all of them within 1 goal in the third period. And it's just some of the most intense, enjoyable sports you could watch. And I think that it's kind of back on the rise. And I think with ESPN in the fold, they're going to kind of keep pumping it and just kind of bring it back to maybe where it was in the early 90s.
Well, let's face it. When you're on ESPN, right, it's better than hockey being on. What have they been on?
NBC.
The Oxygen Channel and
NBC.
And Hallmark. Now that they're back on ESPN, hockey is back. And I don't know about you guys. I've been to every major sporting event that you can be to.
Oh, everyone.
And
every sport,
not big game, every sport.
All right. Just making sure.
Hockey is probably hands down the most fun live event that you can attend. Watching hockey in real time, you don't realize how fast the game really is. Mm-hmm. And the reason why there's line shifts every minute and a half is because these guys.
Oh, no, it's actually about 35 seconds.
Yeah. And long shifts are, a minute and a half, these guys on the ice. And it's just crazy the amount of energy these guys are putting out nonstop, 100% of the time, everybody to the puck. And just like you said, man, teamwork in hockey is fantastic because there are stars, right? How many stars are really taking the puck, baseline to baseline and hogging through the defense like you can in other sports? That's why hockey for me is a lot like soccer in that you really have to depend on your team executing correctly, and you can't just take over a game by yourself.
I feel like it takes everything that's great about soccer and puts it in a much smaller field and a lot faster.
And a lot more physical, and nobody crying that they tripped over their shoelaces.
Yeah, the reason I think hockey will eventually come back is or it probably already is back, is because it is on ESPN. It gives you more of an outlet. There will be social media posts about hockey. You'll see a hockey post every once in a while and be, oh shit, hockey is here. Thanks for the hockey post every once in a while. It'll come back, especially with the expansion team. That's also exciting. It brings more cities in. And this sounds probably a silly question, but is it colder in hockey stadiums when you go to the game?
Yeah, it is, because the ice has to be cold.
So it's just a good environment for not only the entertainment of the game, but literally the atmosphere. I feel is different. So I agree with you guys.
So you've never attended a live hockey game?
I went to a Tampa Bay Lightning game when I was 12.
All right.
Yeah, and that was literally it.
Yeah, so you wouldn't recognize 12. No. You're not really caring about the climate at all in there.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think it being back on ESPN is a big deal. It's a huge deal because I think it takes the casual fans and it gives them something to watch. But I think, like you said, hockey is the purest sport still around on TV in American sports.
That is very true.
Now. So, no, I think it is back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we won't belabor it too much, but if you want, I mean, listen, right now, if you're seeing this and you're hearing this, go watch on a Friday. I mean, they're on TBS and TNT through the playoffs and ESPN. Go watch a couple games and see if you don't like it. I mean, playoff hockey is the best. But we'll move on to our class of the week.
You just blew my mind.
Stay classy.
See, it makes you guys smile.
I love how it tickles you, though.
I have
you
opinions.
tickle yourself on that.
It tickles me watching Phil smile every time.
And I think Phil smiles because you smile at him, thinking that he's smiling at you saying that.
No, I'm looking at my phone. It's just ridiculous.
No, never mind.
I'm
That's fine.
looking at the NBA draft actually right now.
Yeah, where the Kings, the Rockets, the Thunder, and the Magic
Magic.
all have potential top 1 pick right there. Either way.
So who's our stay classy of the week?
Yeah, so class of the week, we kind of want to highlight, a nice class act. I think the Chargers did something very unique. Newsflash, the NFL schedules have been released if you're watching this. And I feel like what LA did was different, not only because it literally was different, but I feel like they took like a lot of like fan, like, what's the word? Like they appreciated
Feedback.
the fans. Yeah, they took in what they were talking about, and what they did. If you haven't seen it, is the Chargers. They released their NFL schedule, but they didn't like an anime intro. So I feel like that was very creative, but also they did it well. Like it's one thing to do it, but it's another thing to do it well. And for each week, they put kind of like a jab at a team, and they put like a reference in there, and they used like real animes that are currently existing and that have already existed.
Yeah.
Into the whole video. I think it was just it was good. It was class act.
Yeah. Well, and they, San Diego has one of the biggest anime conventions
LA.
every year. So, well, yeah, you're right. It's LA, but LA has one of the biggest anime conventions every year. And so they're kind of feeding into that, the idea.
Yeah. It was just cool.
Like you were saying, they kind of like let Russ cook. They had like a lot of like Easter eggs and a lot of
like One Piece
jokes.
was in there.
I'll put some video on here while we're talking so people can see it.
It was just cool. It was just cool. You don't see that often. It just was very I feel like the Orlando Magic Twitter is very relevant. Like there are some social media teams for sports that are doing their job well. And almost even bring in fans because of that.
I think so.
I think the Chargers gained a few.
Wendy's is pretty
friends.
good.
Wendy's?
Yeah, they are pretty good.
Dude, Wendy's on social media kills it.
You go look at Wendy's.
Like they
Twitter.
respond to people.
Wendy's
I've seen those.
clapbacks are ridiculous. They're so
whoever's
on
doing
point.
their social media is pretty funny.
So yeah, class of the week.
Yeah.
Class of the week. All right, now let's get into our basketball wrap up.
Off my leg. Hey, get him off.
It was an abrupt stop there, but
I mean, hey.
Does anybody else feel super awkward as we're playing our drops that we're just sitting here and we're
A
A little bit, yeah.
right?
That's why I was trying to put those screens up so people don't have to look at us.
They don't have to
But
look at us doing that.
I mean, I think people appreciate a good drop.
No,
no.
I'm not saying that they don't, but I almost feel forced, I have to join in on the drop. Like when we play Preston Issues, I feel like I have to sing Preston
Well, it's
Issues.
because it makes
Plus,
you
you're just
wanna
sitting
sing.
here and you're like,
Well, every time Rocky says drop, it sounds like drug. Like when we play it back. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Drop.
I did an edit one time a while back, and we were like, "Let us know what our best drop is," and it sounded like drug.
best drugs.
I love our drugs,
Why
man.
don't you enunciate better, Rock?
Drop.
You know what people don't want to see besides us?
You doing drugs?
They don't want to see that Game 7 performance by the Sixers. That's what they don't want to see.
Great
That's
segue.
pretty bad.
Bad performance by the
Pretty
Sixers.
terrible performance. James Harden looked like
Me tell
fat
you
James
what.
Harden.
MB just pretty much said, "Yeah, he sucks." I mean,
Every time he talks at the podium, -5 chemistry. Every fucking time.
Listen,
yeah, he was not uplifting.
Well, surround him with some goddamn talent already, and you know what? The Sixers might be onto something.
I'll say
Maybe I
this.
might believe in the process again.
real quick on the Heat, I think the Heat have a strong. The Heat
You called
culture is alive.
Yeah.
You guys thought the Sixers was going to win. I did call that, but the Heat, they're going to be a tough out next round. I'm looking forward to that series. But let's talk about the Sixers. Doc Rivers is coming back. They have Tyrese Maxey. They have Joel Embiid. They got Tobias Harris, I get, which is like basketball, J. Cole. They got, who's that other kid they got?
Hey, breaking news.
James Harden?
The Orlando Magic, near and dear to our heart, got the number one pick in the
Let's
draft.
go.
No, good for them.
Good for them.
The New York got 11th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, not surprising. Yeah. But anyway, the Sixers, what do they do? How do they tweak this roster? Yeah, and the big question is, Harden has the option to opt in to the final year of his contract, but if he doesn't, and I think there was like a handshake agreement with him being traded there, with him and Daryl Morey, right? Do they give him the max? I don't understand how you can get. He's not a max player. He's not the player he was 2 years ago. But so quickly, is there anybody? I think we all agree that you can't give him. Is there anybody here that has an argument for him getting the max?
No, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, bring him in, championship.
All right, so this makes sense. But so I mean, is there what else? I just want to hear from you on this one.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
What is it that they can actually do with their roster?
I hate this. For a while, I feel like we've given them talent. I feel like we've given Embiid, Jimmy Butler. As much as I don't like Ben Simmons had a few good years, like you guys were already mentioning. Like, we've had a few coaches. I hate this because Doc Rivers apparently wants to go to LA. I don't even know if we want him in general. James Harden is old and not himself that we thought we were going to be getting. Tobias Harris is getting overpaid. I honestly, what I would love to see, and I'm not an NBA analyst, I could be totally wrong here, but keep Embiid, keep Maxey, blow everything else up.
Well, the biggest mistake you guys made was getting rid of
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy
Buckets.
Yeah. It pains me. It sucks.
I mean, and you know what?
I
The thing is, you got rid of Jimmy Butler and then overpaid Tobias Harris.
And Ben Simmons. We chose Simmons and Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Two terrible mistakes.
Well, I think Simmons was a fair decision to make at the time, to be fair. Simmons was young and he was playing well. So I think Tobias Harris is a big mistake.
Yeah, well, and I like Tobias Harris as a third.
You're not the only team that's made that mistake with Tobias.
LA.
If there's a guy that's been part of more mistakes,
talk about Rudy Gay.
It's Tobias Harris.
Yeah, I mean, you'd believe in the process more with Jimmy Buckets over Jahlil Okafor and Markelle Fultz. I mean, how dare you?
I hate it.
Oh, that's a throwback.
For a while,
boom.
As a Sixers fan, we've seen at least the attempt to try different head coaches, different pieces, trading for players during the season and on the offseason.
Well, how could you not? I mean, you had a top 3 pick for 17 straight seasons.
That's true. Well,
how you've not?
Are you? What team can I jab at you for?
It's
for the NBA?
It's like the Lions of the NBA.
Are you a Bulls fan?
No, I'm a Mavericks fan. That's why I'm
Since
so
when?
pro Luka.
Since when?
Dude, we've discussed this.
Have we?
Jamal Mashburn was my favorite player of all time.
That's fair. All right, I don't want to hear 7 minutes about it, but I do remember that.
But I hate this.
What that it's come around?
South
it
Jersey.
happens. It
doesn't matter.
happens.
But and I've explained this too, that I grew up in a resort town that I couldn't enjoy my town because all these goddamn Philadelphians come down and take over my beaches and trash the shit out of them and don't clean up.
Right.
And then they take all their
But you gotta be a
Philadelphia
Knicks
nonsense.
Yeah, but
Knicks
you know what?
or
But you know what
Brooklyn
you do?
fan.
No,
But
I don't. I'm South Jersey.
But you root for the Cavs and you root for Magic too. I mean,
Yeah, come
I
on
root
now.
for the Cavs.
you
But
root for the
Ben
Magic
phony.
too. Yeah,
I-
see,
You guys are gonna hate this, but I also like the Magic.
that's it.
I go to
Listen,
Magic games.
But that tracks because you're a Jets and Eagles fan. All right, so listen, it's all bullshit. You got one team.
You get an AFC.
You got
and
one
an
A.
NFC team.
my team is the
Yeah,
Cavs.
one team.
My team is the Cavs.
And then
But
you root for another
you
team.
don't
I
have
live
to
in
have-
Orlando and I go to their games.
Hey,
you know
first
what?
of all, you live in Claremont, all right, like me, and you don't live in Orlando.
I walk past the
And
Amway
you don't
Center
have
every
to cheer,
Saturday
You
night.
don't have to cheer for them.
Now, if I grew up in
I
Philadelphia,
don't cheer for them against the Cavaliers.
Oh, I know that.
They're my team. But if it's Orlando versus Dallas, I'll root for
Wait, can I get a
Orlando.
pass though? I walk past Amway Center almost every Saturday night.
I mean, listen,
I get
what are
kind
you
of-
scoring drugs on the streets of?
No, I'm
I
in
mean-
college and go
So
downtown.
so what happens if you move to Oklahoma City for a job? Are you going to be a Thunder fan?
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's bullshit.
But when I started
Yeah.
watching basketball, okay, here's my thing.
It's like, hey, wife, I love you, but
But when I started watching
this
basketball,
lady works with me every day.
I lived in Florida, and I now live in Orlando. So I feel like I get a little bit of a pass there.
I think you got to drop the Sixers then. For me to respect it, you got to drop the Sixers.
And as much as I would love that, I don't know.
I mean,
not only that, you're rooting
first.
for 2 teams in the Eastern Conference.
That's why
So,
I also
like,
am not kind of cool with it, because I feel like an AFC team and an NFC team,
Like, you've
are
increased your percentage.
but sis, I don't think that's okay either. But I think it's less okay if they're in the same conference.
Okay.
But the fact that you just submitted it, how could you even know?
That's why the Magic are cool, but
you
they're
can
not
do what
like-
you want. Let
No,
me
wait.
finish my point. But you wait.
But my money goes to the Magic.
I don't give a shit. Listen.
No. And a lot of my money every month goes to the Magic.
Why?
So I have to sponsor.
You don't have to do
No,
anything.
I
You don't
have
want
to support them because thousands
Listen.
of dollars every month
How are you supporting them?
Weird flex, but okay.
Chick-fil-A.
Listen, what I'm
was
saying,
a sponsor of the
You're
Magic
shackled by corporate America, Rocky.
for 10 years.
you're a cuck for Chick-fil-A. Listen, what I'm going to say is this.
Fair.
You can do what you want.
Cuck fillet.
But if you choose to root for two teams, I'm just gonna think you're a fraud. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I think means anything or not? Who cares?
Deep down, if the Magic won a finals, like a championship, I
No,
would. I wouldn't care.
This is why I hate this. This is why I hate this right here.
He would
This
care.
is why it's
Wait,
so
do you hear what I
fraudulent.
said, though?
No, yeah, because that's bullshit.
I wouldn't
Here's why
care.
it's fraudulent. If
You would care.
if the Magic were in the
Yeah.
playoffs and the Sixers were bad. Cavs
No,
were
no,
bad,
no.
Hey, yes, this is what would happen.
Yeah.
You guys would be watching Magic games.
Yep.
No.
Ignite the blue, all
No,
this shit.
no, no,
Hey,
no.
you
100%.
would.
I would if the Cavs were bad and the Magic won, I'd be happy for the Magic.
I bet you two guys
No.
You'd
probably
be watching
no.
the games rooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so then you're frauds.
But if the Cavs were good, I would not root for the Magic.
Deep
over the
down,
Cavs.
I hear you.
deep down, if I really
It's like if my wife's
When-
in
but
Chiefs,
like you're
then I'm not gonna
you're a
cheat, but
Flyers
if,
fan,
you
but every
know,
time the
you
Lightning
know-
make the playoffs, you're like, "Go Tampa!"
well, I'm not a hockey. This is like baseball. Like I haven't been a hockey or baseball fan, so I ask where my family roots for, and that's why I guess I'm a Yankees fan.
Well, so yeah, if you're not a fan of this sport, yeah, that's fair
Yeah.
game. But if you already have a team,
I mean, this is better than this guy who's he's
How so?
cherry picking across the country.
Cherry picking. I'm a goddamn Mets fan.
I'm a Dallas fan.
Wait a minute.
I've never been there.
Wait a minute. I'm a Mets fan, right? I'm a
Have
Mets
you
fan.
ever been to
I'm a
Dallas?
Bears fan. Yes, of course.
It is hard.
I'm a Mavericks fan. Come on now. If you're going to say that I'm cherry picking, don't you think I would have cherry picked three better teams, Rocky? Like, that's ridiculous.
This guy eats Texas toast every night. Trust me.
Yeah. There you go.
When the
Case in point.
when the Eagles won a Super Bowl, I ran literally down the street. If the Magic won a championship, cool. Like
I know, but
that's
you
why
would
it's not
be
my
taking
team.
part in the festivities. You know,
You do a little
Yeah.
shimmy. You would.
you'd be we're watching Magic Game 7. All right, and, we're
He'd be-
together. UCF. Oh,
I knew
At the bars.
Oh, thank
shirt
God.
off.
Thank God for like a Magic.
He would be.
you get into it. All right,
Hey, those
let's-
Orlando pinstripe jerseys are nice.
Bucks Celtics. Not much to say about this game. Chris Middleton didn't play. I think series is different if he's there.
Yeah.
But I think the real question is, can the Celtics win a title this year?
They can.
I think the Celtics are going to give the Heat some trouble, to be honest with you. I think that
I think it's an even series.
Well, yeah, and I think the defense, the way that Boston can play big, it's going to be hard, I think, for the Heat to kind of score. It's going to be an interesting series.
J-Tay, man. J-Tay's on fire, man.
X Factor, Tyler Hero, I think, in this series.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So listen, guys, we love you. Please follow us on all our socials, TikTok at UFL Podcast. Here on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You get us on Instagram. You get us on that old Twitter, that old tweet. And Facebook, I never remember if
We're still
on
there.
Facebook. But yeah, we're on Facebook. We're on Facebook. Please follow, like, subscribe,
Check out
comment.
our new show, too.
Check out our new show, Guys on
Yeah.
Draft. We got a new
we
set.
got a new set coming. It's
Tell you what,
new
sexy.
set.
It is sexy.
And yeah, just keep hope alive. Peace.
Keep hope alive.